Hello, YouTube. This is Talking Sports with the Pastor. It is about time that we are back together here. I have been out for a little while, had some surgery. I'm doing great now. But I felt the need. Oh my goodness, I felt the need to be back with my channel. Hit the like and subscribe buttons. Share this with people. Say, oh my goodness, there's a pastor out there talking sports, and he actually knows what he's talking about. So make sure you bring all your friends in as well. Today, what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the top 20 prospects who might be under center for the Steelers for 2022. This is going to be a mix of free agents. It's going to be a mix of trades. It's going to be a mix of college guys. It's going to be, just the top 20 names that I believe have a shot to be under center for the Steelers for next season. A couple of ground rules for this. One, we're not going to be talking about anybody who's currently on the team now. I do not believe that our starting quarterback is on the roster right now. That means that Mason Rudolph, no. It means Dwayne Haskins, no. It means Josh Dobbs, no. These three guys have proven they're not ready to go, and they may never be ready to go, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they're not the guy that we want under center week one. So you won't be hearing their names at all. We're going to start with number 20. And again, a lot of these are names that are out there that people are questioning. But I just, some of them, like this first one, there's no way that I believe that this person's going to be under center for the Steelers, and that's Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is a generational talent. Let's be clear about that. He's a generational talent. The problem is he's got generational issues off the field. And when's the last time you saw somebody that had issues like that Steelers actually brought in? Yes, we've had guys like that, but they aren't long to be in Steeler black and gold. Unless they turn things around. No, Ben was a guy that had some issues like that, a few. He certainly didn't have 20 to 25 civil suits against him. And Deshaun is just sitting on the sidelines right now, and every month that he's sitting on the sidelines, his skills are deteriorating. So if you're a Deshaun Watson guy, I'm sorry, but he's not going to be wearing black and gold. There's no way. So he's number 20. At number 19, I have Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder is a quarterback from the University of Cincinnati. He's going to be in the upcoming draft. I've watched Desmond Ridder play. He is not ready to take the reins of an NFL team. Not yet. Will he be in the future? Possibly. Can the Steelers wait for that? No, they cannot. They have too good of a defense. They have weapons on offense. They need a guy that can come in and step in right now. We're going to talk a little bit about the offensive line situation after this list is over. Number 18, we have Teddy Bridgewater from the Denver Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater would be exactly that. He'd be a bridge quarterback. He's been a bridge quarterback everywhere he's went. He's been a winner. He's actually given you some quality snaps, some quality games. But the Steelers are looking for somebody long-term, and that's not Teddy Bridgewater. So while I think he might be a good plan B or plan C for this team, certainly not going to be a plan A. At number 17, again from the Houston Texans, Tyrod Taylor. And when we talk about Tyrod Taylor, let's talk about what Mike Tomlin has come out in the media and said. Mike Tomlin has come out and said he wants his next quarterback to be a mobile quarterback. That being said, Matt Canada's offense is an offense that works best with a mobile quarterback. So what I'd like to see them do is kind of remake this roster, and that's why I think Mason Rudolph is going to be actually traded. I think Dwayne Haskins has a chance to stick around as a backup or a third string because they offer the same type of capabilities. So a Tyrod Taylor could come in and be your backup or come in and be, maybe you're another bridge kind of guy. But I think we've seen Tyrod Taylor is not a starter in this league. I just don't think he has it, whether it be on the field or in the locker room. There's just something about him that isn't QB1 material. Number 16, we have Nick Foles. Nick Foles, again, I've heard him talk about retirement so often that I don't think I would put him in that position. but you never know. I mean, things get desperate. I mean, he would not be a bad one for a bridge for a year or two. Number 15 from the University of North Carolina, Sam Howell. Sam Howell, I actually watched Sam Howell closely when he played in the game against the Pitt Panthers. What a great game that was! And Sam Howell started off rough, but he really picked it up in the second half of that game. And I saw some things from Sam Howell that were interesting, but I also saw some weaknesses that he has in his game. So again, I think what the right scenario is you bring in a guy in free agency and you draft a guy. So you have that double-headed monster that you wouldn't play them both, but maybe you have that guy sit on the sidelines that you draft until they get seasoned a little bit. So Sam Howell could definitely do that for you. Number 14, I've heard people say about trading for Philadelphia's Gardner Minshew. I'm not so sure about this one. Gardner Minshew, yeah. I mean, could I get on board with it? Possibly. You know, he played in Jacksonville, did real well in Jacksonville. He's sitting there in Philadelphia behind Jalen Hurts. I don't know. I just the shine's a little off that rose for me. Coming in number 13 is Andy Dalton from the Chicago Bears. You could trade for Andy Dalton pretty easily, I think. I think Andy Dalton might want out of Chicago with the situation that's there. But again, not going to be a long-term guy. Andy Dalton's a little long in the tooth as well. Right? He's not going to be the right guy for the Matt Canada offense. So if you're thinking that way, probably not going to happen. Number 12, Strong from Nevada. The first name's escaping me right now, but Carson Strong from Nevada. I haven't seen Nevada play a whole lot. I know that the kid has a strong arm. I know that he's got a big arm out there. My problem, and we're going to get into this with a couple other these quarterbacks that are from college. I'm not convinced on the competition that Carson Strong went up against. I think it's going to be a big jump to go to NFL competition from competition at the University of Nevada. So again, be a guy that would sit on the bench, maybe would sit behind and learn for a couple of years, and try to get him some reps here or there. But again, is Carson Strong the right guy for the Matt Canada offense? I don't know that he's the right guy there either. At number 11, the last one before we get to our top 10, and some of these I'm going to catch some flack for, but I try to be open minded about this. Number 11, I'm putting Mitchell Trubisky from Buffalo. Mitchell Trubisky is a guy that he's an interesting prospect. And I still consider him a prospect because let's face it, Chicago is the land where quarterbacks go to die. Name me a franchise quarterback other than Justin Fields from Chicago. You've got to go back to 1985 and go back to a guy named Jim McMahon. And he wasn't a franchise quarterback for long for them. Before that, you got to go back to Vince Evans. I mean, Chicago is not a great place for quarterbacks. So that being said, he's done better in Buffalo, sitting behind Josh Allen. Is that a cleansing period for him? Could he come into a city like Pittsburgh and not have to be the guy with Najee Harris running the ball? Yeah, that's a possibility. So would I be excited about it? I'd be excited if he was again part of that two-headed kind of attack that we'd be looking at, the two-headed solution. At number 10, okay, we're going to go into our top 10. And again, at number 10, we have a quarterback from college that I question the competition. And that's Malik Willis from Liberty. Everybody's really high on Malik Willis, but everybody was high on Johnny Manziel too. I try not to look at what everybody else is saying. I try to look at the actuals of what's going on with this quarterback. And he struggled. He struggled in competitions with talent that was close to him. So, I think again, he's an interesting prospect. It wouldn't be, I don't know if I'd be excited to bring him in or not. I don't know. The jury's still out on him yet. At number 9 is an interesting guy. He's quarterbacking for Minnesota right now, a guy by the name of Kirk Cousins. Been a great quarterback for Minnesota. Again, he's not a young guy, but he's not, he's got years left on him. He's got miles on the tires yet. You could bring him in. He could take over this offense, and he's a winner. He just absolutely is a winner, and he could take us where we want to go short term. But again, I think he's going to be more of a bridge quarterback. I don't see him being a franchise quarterback in Pittsburgh. Number 8, I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, so I am waiting for the comment section to blow up on this one. I would make some phone calls to the Cleveland Browns and see the availability of Baker Mayfield. I'll wait for you to start typing because I'm going to have to explain this one a little bit. Baker Mayfield, I was not a Baker Mayfield guy when this whole thing started. I was not a guy that said Baker Mayfield was going to be anything more than a glorified Johnny Manziel. He has proven me wrong. I like what he's doing. He struggled last year, but he struggled last year because he had so many injuries. And injuries piled up on top of injuries, on top of injuries, on top of injuries, and it just it really caught up to him. So you want to temper that a little bit. You look at his seasons before that, and I think Cleveland might be ready to move on from Baker. And if they are, what a neat thing that would be to bring him in and give him a shot and see if and he seems like a Pittsburgh kind of guy. He just seems like a tough, hard-nosed kind of guy. So I would not be opposed to seeing Baker Mayfield under center for us next year. Number 7. This one, again, more of a long shot than anything else. Marcus Mariota's name has been spouted out as a possible trade candidate coming here. You wouldn't have to trade a bunch for him. He has some miles left in the tires. He's got some mobility. He's got some things that would work really well in the Matt Canada offense. Again, be a bridge guy. He wouldn't be your guy for 10 or 15 years. But if you're going to do, like I said before, with the draft a quarterback and bring in a free agent or a trade quarterback, he would be a good one for that type of system. At number 6, Matt Corral. Matt Corral, college quarterback from Ole Miss. He got into a situation this year where he played in the bowl game, wanted to play in the Sugar Bowl, wanted to be in that game so badly. And everybody says that they get upset because players don't want to play in these bowl games. But you see why. Matt Corral showed you why that, these players have to think about this. He's dealing with an injury now, an injury that's going to cost him some time, and he's going to have to rehab from it. We're going to see Kenny Pickett here a little bit later on this list. He opted out of the bowl game. And as a fan of the Pitt Panthers, I was disappointed, but I got it. I understood why. But Matt Corral is a good quarterback. There's no doubt about it. I watched him a little bit. Quality quarterback, quality guy. I think he's going to be a B-grade quarterback for many, many years in this league. Is he going to be a franchise quarterback? That's yet to be seen. I just don't know. So we've gotten to the top 5 now. What do you think so far? Pick numbers 20 through 15. Have I missed anybody? Obviously, the big ones are coming up. But do you have somebody in mind from a small college or that's sitting on a roster? I tried to go through the rosters of every team and see what was available and try to give some credit to whatever was out there. But it's a limited list. There's probably about 23, 24 guys, and I took the top 20 out of it. At number 5, and this is one that I think is legitimate. I think it could happen. I think that it's probably the most likely scenario in my mind. Again, it's part of that two-headed situation that I talked about. And that's Jameis Winston from New Orleans. Jameis Winston has a knee injury right now. He is going to rehab, but he looked really good. And he had some interception issues early in his career. I think he's gotten that under control a little bit. So I'm excited to see what he would bring to the table as far as a starting quarterback in the league. Again, probably a bridge guy though. He may surprise you, and you may get 8 to 10 years out of a Jameis Winston, and he might have enough talent left in the tank that he takes you to a couple of Super Bowls. So that's a possibility. At number 4, and again, we're going to start getting into trade scenarios now. Number 4, I have Jimmy Garoppolo from San Francisco. Again, a very likely scenario. A lot of people think Jimmy G would fit in real well with this offense. I have questions about that. Jimmy Garoppolo has had some injury issues, but make no mistake about it. When he plays, he's a winner. He has taken the San Francisco 49ers are in the NFC Championship game. Yes, they have Deebo Samuel. Yes, they have a lot of solid players, but you don't get to a championship game without a solid quarterback. Look across the board at the championship games this weekend. You have, Joe Burrow. You have Jimmy Garoppolo. You have, quarterback for the Rams. Hello. Matthew Stafford. And of course, you have in Kansas City. I know him and I can't think of his name. But and that's terrible for me. But you have 4 very, very good quarterbacks in this championship round. So if you get to a championship round, you're a good quarterback. So you have Jimmy Garoppolo sitting there. You have a guy like Trey Lance behind him. Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry, Patrick. If for some reason you're watching this, I apologize. But you have a guy like Trey Lance sitting behind Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, Trey Lance is the heir apparent. He's going to be the starting quarterback. If you wouldn't have to give up too much for a Jimmy Garoppolo, I would go get a Jimmy G. I think he's a solid quarterback for this team, and I think he could be a really nice plug-and-play option for the short term, maybe for the long term even. He has a lot of talent. Number 3, and this is kind of high, and they're going to have to do some trading to get it done, but Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett is probably going to be the first quarterback off the board. As we go towards the draft, he may end up being in the top 10. You may have to do some really slick maneuvering to get him. But I think it's well worth it. I think Kenny Pickett is a guy that could be the starter for many, many years to come. Some things I like about Kenny Pickett. I've watched him for 6 years. I watched his very first game when he played against the University of Miami and took them to an upset win. He is a winner. He is a guy that on the sidelines, he's a good teammate guy. He is a loyal guy. He's a gritty guy. He has just enough moxie and enough attitude to make it interesting, but he's got an arm. He's got the mindset. He's been in the college game for 6 years. How rare is that? 5 is usually the max, but because of COVID, Kenny was there an extra year. So he was there 6 years. He is ready to take over an NFL team right now. He would be the one. Of all the quarterbacks coming out of college, he is the most pro-ready right now, day one. And I think he'd be a great pick for the Steelers. There's something to be said about familiarity of your location, familiarity of your practice facilities, familiarity of your field that you play on. And these are all things that Kenny Pickett brings to the table. Okay, numbers 2 and 1. Again, this is the 2 names that you've been hearing the most. The 2 that you've been hearing the most, but I'm going to tell you they're probably the 2 who are most unlikely to be the Steeler quarterback next year. And then at number 2, we have Russell Wilson. Not that I don't like Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson is an awesome quarterback. I would be excited if Russell Wilson somehow ended up in Pittsburgh. I would be excited about that. But here's the problem. When you deal with trades, and let's just put the 2 together. We have Russell Wilson 2 and Aaron Rodgers number 1. Same problem with both of them. They are going to require that the Steelers would give up 2 to 3 first-round draft picks. I want you to think back in your history to the last time the Steelers gave up 2 to 3 first-round draft picks for anybody. Go ahead, think about it. I'll wait. It doesn't happen. The Steelers don't do that. The Steelers aren't like these other franchises that mortgage their future to get one guy. And they're not going to mortgage their future to get a guy who's 36 to 37 years old. I don't care if he is the NFL MVP. They're not going to do that. And Russell Wilson, they're not going to do that either. He's got more in his rearview mirror than he has ahead of him, I think, as far as good years go. They're not going to mortgage their future to do that. Well, it's a nice pipe dream. Well, I've seen the pictures on Facebook of Aaron Rodgers in the Steelers uniform and Russell Wilson in the Steelers uniform. Uh, Steeler Nation, I'm going to look you right in the eye right now. I'm going to look right at the camera. Get it out of your mind. It's not happening. So let's be realistic. That's why I put on this video under the description. I put the most realistic people I think might be the Steelers starter for next year, and I come up with two names. Again, I talked the whole video about this double-headed monster here, and I think probably the most likely candidate, and I've gone over the top 20, but I think the most likely candidate is a duo between Jameis Winston and Kenny Pickett. You can't trade draft capital twice. You can't. They're gonna have to trade their first round pick to get a Garoppolo, or they're gonna have to trade their first round pick to get a Pickett to move up. Pickett, you might be able to trade this year's 1 and next year's 2 to move up, depending on how high you have to move. But I think the Jameis Winston, Kenny Pickett combination is probably the most likely scenario. Is it our favorite scenario? No, not our favorite scenario. Is it a good scenario? Yes, very good scenario. Who would be the starter? That's going to be an interesting battle in OTAs and training camp. So that's the situation there. We talk a little bit about the offensive line because that's a concern for any quarterback coming in here. Offensive line right now, you have two guys in Moore and Kendrick Green that were rookies that started. And I've seen many reports that say Dan Moore is going to be one of the best offensive linemen in all of football. He's just that darn good. Kendrick Green has a lot of growing to do, but I think he will do that growing. I have confidence in that. You have Kevin Dotson, who's a great offensive lineman. So you have a couple of spots here that need to be tied up. Trey Turner, see you wouldn't want to be you. You're going to be out the door. And I believe Chuks Okorafor is going to be out the door as well. So you need to go into free agency looking for a couple of offensive linemen. Because I think you're going to want to spend your draft capital at the top of the draft on some other things. The caveat being, if you make a decision about quarterback that doesn't involve the draft, there is a guy sitting at the University of Iowa. I hope I get his name right. Tyler Lindenbaum, who is probably the next center that could anchor an offensive line for 10 to 15 years. He's that good. He would be an awesome pickup day one for the Steelers. He could plug in and play. You can move Kendrick Green to guard. You would have Dan Moore on the outside. And all of a sudden, this offensive line that didn't look so good starts to look a lot better. Because you have Green, Dotson, Moore, Lindenbaum. It starts to look pretty darn solid. You still have some weaknesses, but I think that it starts to be a strength of the team. Then you get that strength going, and you put Najee Harris behind it because, hello, Tyler Lindenbaum came from Iowa. We're not talking about an offense that likes to light it up through the air. You're talking about a guy who likes to plow people. And you let Najee Harris run behind that line, and all of a sudden, things look a lot better. So that's a possibility for the Steelers to go as well. They also need to address some things on defense. They need to stop the run. Now, I know that, and I've been one of the ones that's been preaching about all the injuries they had on defense this past year. You lost Stephon Tuitt. You lost Tyson Alualu. Those are two huge, huge losses up front. At linebacker, you have Devin Bush, who's coming off an injury, and I don't think that boy got nearly enough credit. Because a knee injury takes you a year to feel back to anywhere near what you used to be. So he has a year under his belt now. I think Devin Bush is going to actually start climbing, and he's going to start getting better. Your secondary, I think you better get some help there too. I think you better be looking in free agency. I think you better be looking I think you better re-sign Ahkello Witherspoon. I like what I saw in him. Arthur Maudet, I liked what I saw in him. Young guys that I think can grow into the position. Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's going to be just fine. Terrell Edmonds, finally, we're starting to see some stuff from him as well. So your defense has a couple of holes, believe it or not, but they are the strength of your team. This can happen, Steeler Nation. We can get this back. And in very short order, be lifting a Lombardi trophy once again. Just to end this video, I want to throw you my picks for the weekend and then picks for the Super Bowl, because I may come back with a Super Bowl video if I have a chance. First game is the AFC Championship game where you have Cincinnati against Kansas City. Cincinnati's a team that I think they may be in the Super Bowl in the next couple of years. It's not this year. Patrick Mahomes, too much for Kansas City to deal with. And I think Kansas City's defense will make enough plays that Kansas City will win that game. Then on the defensive, or on the NFC side, you have what's going to be an incredible game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams. Two quarterbacks who are very interesting. Stafford has been a good quarterback this year. I think Jimmy Garoppolo, he could do it. He could do it. But I think in the end, I think the Los Angeles Rams with Aaron Donald, with Matthew Stafford, with Cooper Kupp, with Odell Beckham Jr. seems to be like he caught some fire here at the end of the season. I think they're going to make a couple more plays in the end, and I think you're going to have the Los Angeles Rams and the Kansas City Chiefs in this year's Super Bowl. And when you have two teams like that in the Super Bowl, that is a game where I will bet on a quarterback every time, and I will take Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs to raise the Lombardi trophy, because I think between Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and the tight end and the running backs that they have, and I just think it's going to be a lot for anybody to try to deal with, especially in the championship game. They were there last year. They missed it. They're hungry. They want it bad. I think Kansas City gets it done this year. Thank you for joining me again here on my YouTube channel. It has been great to be back with you, feeling good, and we'll be doing more videos. Leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel. Leave me a comment. What do you guys want to see me talk about? I like to focus on Pittsburgh sports. So, I'll talk Steelers, I'll talk Penguins, I'll even talk Pirates. I will talk even Riverhound soccer. We can discuss. Obviously, isn't a lot to talk about the Riverhounds, but we do have coming up soon. The Pittsburgh Maulers are coming back. Be playing the whole season in Birmingham. But what do you think about the USFL coming back under a Pittsburgh name? That's exciting to me. We'll be talking a little bit more about that, and about head coach Kirby, who's coming on board for that first season in the new leagues. I think it's their second or third season total. So if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that. Let me know what you want to hear me talk about. We'll do some live stuff, so you can get on here as well and ask questions of the pastor. But for now, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Share and subscribe to this video. We'll see you later. Have fun, everyone.